Back up in your grill, Jeff and Jesse here to close down the show. Jeff, you look a little disheveled over there, man.
I woke up in a trunk, man. All I remember is this this dude in a Reggie Bush jersey smothering my face with some ether and passed out for like 15 minutes, man. Woke up, and here I am now back on the set.
You got mugged and drugged, man.
I guess.
Zach took you out.
Zach did it. Oh, we got to stop letting that guy on this show, man.
He skated out of here in a mad hurry as soon as he was done.
That's probably what it was. He knew that I had woke up from my slumber and that I was going to come pound him.
I thought he had you in his trunk.
Like a trunk, like, you know.
Oh, your story's breaking down here, Kat. So
not the trunk of a car.
Anyways, don't ever commit a murder, dude, because you just don't have that. You just don't have all the pieces put together.
Yeah, my 5 brain cells are busy.
Yeah, exactly. They're definitely all incapacitated. All right, so back to the task at hand, closing down the show. We thank you all for joining us, and we haven't talked at all on this entire show about testosteronesports.com or the Fat Chat. So, Jeff, break it down.
Okay, well, testosteronesports.com goes hand in hand with the television show that you are currently viewing right now. If you haven't had a chance to see this entire show, go on to testosteronesports.com where you can watch it in its entirety. We break down all the matchups in every given week, so if there's a game that you didn't get a chance to see, you want to know about, you can see it online. Also, there's articles that come out each and every week. We break down every matchup on a literary basis.
Right.
We pick all the games so that you can go on there and see how we're doing, because we are professionals when it comes to this, and we feel like there's a standard that we have to meet. So we play in multiple fantasy football leagues so that we can answer any questions that are thrown our way, and we pick all the games to keep ourselves fresh under the fire, you know, so to speak, and sharp, as it were. So,
absolutely. And the thing we do the most, that we love to do the most, is as the show is ended tonight, we do this thing called the Fat Chat, where we jump on there after the show. We welcome you on to a live fantasy football chat with other guys that are just like you, trying to figure out who they should play, who they should bench for their fantasy matchups this week. It's the Fat Chat at testosteronesports.com. You see the website address down at the bottom of the page. Get on there, get your ass on there. We'll help you win in your fantasy league. Testosteronesports.com.
yes.
Carolina gonna go to Oakland to play against the Raiders. Jeff, the Raiders just falling apart at the seams this season. Last week they had -2 yards at halftime at home against the Falcons. Not a very good defense at all. I believe they had 3 first downs throughout the entire first 3 quarters. Really just falling apart at the seams offensively. They were talking about cutting Javon Walker this week. I didn't realize they gave that guy $70 million.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Well, I mean, D'Angelo Hall, you know, they released him. They owe him $16 million in the trade that they made over the offseason. You know, I'm kind of secretly hoping that Carolina picks up D'Angelo Hall here this week so that they could play him against his former mates.
Yeah, that's right. You have Hall in an IDP league.
I do have Hall in an IDP league as my #1 defensive back. I mean, look, you know, this is a Raiders team. I don't understand. They've got a ton of talent. You know, they've got Howie Long and Warren Sapp and Lyle Alzado on their defensive line. You know, George Blanda throwing the ball to Tim Brown.
Who?
They got Bo Jackson back there running the football, you know,
a grizzle.
And it just seems like they're way more talented than they are performing, you know, and maybe they need to start Rich Gannon. I don't know what it is, but
they need a change for sure.
0 points against the Falcons. What's that about?
Yeah, just a terrible team right now. I mean,
starting none.
Last week I was caught with my pants down starting Justin Fargas in a league, thinking that, you know, at home against the Falcons they should be able to get it going. No. The Raiders are possibly the worst team in the league. They didn't cut Walker this week, but they may as well have. I think he's got like 13 catches on the entire season. They did cut D'Angelo Hall, as Jeff said. But realistically, until Al Davis gives up the ghost, lets someone else come in, do the GM thing, gets a head coach Tom Cable, who's that?
Yeah.
I mean, the cable guy.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man. You got the cable guy running your show. You may as well give us a call. Our phone number is definitely on the website. You can call us up. You know, we'll manage your team for you. We could do a hell of a lot better than Tom Cable.
I mean, we definitely have a good eye for talent when it comes to scouting, and I think we could put together a fairly good plan for the Raiders that would bring back some of that commitment to excellence, you know, with some strong blue chip type of prospects throughout the course of a draft. But that is a little bit pie in the sky. In the meantime, you can't start anybody from this team on a fantasy football note at all. For Carolina, there's several different plays here. I think that coming off of the bye, Jake Delhomme is going to be able to hook up early and often with Steve Smith.
Me too.
I love both those plays here this week, fantasy football-wise. And then it looks like Jonathan Stewart won't play this week. So D'Angelo Williams owners, plug him in your lineup. You
Absolutely. You broke it down perfectly, Jeff. D'Angelo Williams could go off here. He's prone to those big games. And when the matchup is right, we saw, last week they ceded tons of yardage on the ground to Michael Turner. So D'Ange, get him in there. Indy at Pittsburgh. Now, Pittsburgh is a team that is banged up and bruised up. Willie Parker played last week, scored a touchdown, but, coming down now with a shoulder injury as well as the knee problem. They've also got Ben Roethlisberger, who had an MRI on his shoulder that didn't reveal any further damage, but it sounds like he's going to be wearing a splint on his left thumb, non-throwing hand for the rest of the season here. So they got a banged-up quarterback, they got a banged-up running back, but they're playing at home against Indy. And Indy's team, on a weekly basis, man, they just seem like it's such a struggle for them compared to what we've come to expect. This game is really intriguing to me here.
Yeah, well, I just don't see how Peyton Manning's going to be able to penetrate the new steel curtain. I'm telling you, man, this defense, they're the best in the league against the pass, and that's how Indianapolis makes its hay.
Right.
So they're not very good when it comes to the ground game right now. Joseph Adai's been struggling a lot. Pittsburgh fantastic against stuffing the run. So for my money, I just don't like the Colts here in this game. Pittsburgh won a statement game last weekend against Washington. They beat a fantastic team. They're going to be able to keep things going here at home. I love whoever runs the ball. The Indianapolis Colts have given up 10 touchdowns on the ground so far this season. So if Willie Parker is reserved, then you want to go ahead and play Mewelde Moore. He's really proven to be one of the waiver wire gems of this season.
Absolutely.
And he's doing it with style, so that's been really impressive. I don't know, it's going to be tough because I think the Pittsburgh's defense is so stifling and that blitz is so strong that I just don't see how any way that Indianapolis can win this game.
Yeah, we've seen Peyton Manning very frustrated this year, not only dealing with the injury problems, but it's obvious that Marvin Harrison has fallen off. He's not the same old guy. Reggie Wayne not playing at a high level either. Dallas Clark is a guy you can play, but as Jeff said, Pittsburgh brings the D. So I'm agreeing with you here that Pittsburgh should win, take care of business at home, and Colts players are not the dominant fantasy forces that we have come to expect over the last 6-7 years.
Yeah, right. It's hard to really rely on any of those guys right now, which is tough because you drafted them as must-plays, so they probably got to be active.
The Chiefs are going to square off with the San Diego Chargers. The Chargers fresh off of a bye. LaDainian Tomlinson owners have to be juiced about this matchup, Jeff. You're wearing the jersey.
Get ready.
Tell the people at home what you think number 2-1 will do here.
I really think it's going to be a hearkening back to 2 seasons ago when LT was having his dominant run. I'm really impressed to see the way that he's been running. They're coming off the bye, so they've had a couple weeks to prepare for the league's worst defense, or one of the league's worst defenses, and I just think it's going to be LT all day long, on the ground, through the air. I love San Diego to totally trounce in this game. I think it's going to be down to like 31 to 23 or 24 points. So when it comes to San Diego, start all of your fantasy relevant players. Definitely LT. You want to have Rivers active as well as Antonio Gates and Vincent Jackson. I'm a little unsure about the status of Chambers right now. I know he's been limited in action.
Right.
Has yet to really get back ingratiated into the offense. So for the time being, it feels like Vincent Jackson's your top receiver target.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Jeff. Chambers not practicing fully this week, bothered by an ankle bit. And even when you look at Chambers' stats from early in the season, he was catching a lot of long touchdowns, but not catching a lot of passes. So as you say, I think this game gets out of hand fairly early. They might have to go away from the passing game, although Phillip Rivers is a guy you absolutely have to play against KC. And on the flip side of the coin, we're seeing a young guy emerge in Kansas City's offense. Not only their quarterback Tyler Thigpen, who is playing really well so far throughout his since the reins have been handed to him here for the season, but they've got a young running back there that we had a chance to look at, Jamal Charles, who posted some nice digits last week. Will be getting the rock here in this game because LJ is out and Colby Smith now out for the year. Yeah,
Jamal Charles getting his first start of his young career. It's going to be interesting to see. He had a great start last week. And I'll tell you, when I first looked at this matchup, I thought, don't chase the stat line, and I still get that sense on him. But at the same time, when other players in my leagues are coming to me and asking me if I'll trade Jamal Charles to them, I start to get the feeling that a lot of people think he's going to do well here, and I think that there's a good chance of that. San Diego's not the great defense that they were last year.
And Jamal, sorry to interrupt you. Jamal Charles, people might be giving you a call because LJ, the writing could be on the wall for him. He may be gone at the end of the season. I get the feeling that Herman Edwards and the Chiefs front office, which is a really high-class organization. Carl Peterson runs his organization in a certain way. He doesn't like guys who are in trouble in the news and making headlines and having their name in the police blotter and whatnot. Jamal Charles is a nice quality player for keeper leagues.
And we got a chance to see him in the preseason, and he's got some great talent. So I think that the Chiefs, like you're saying, Jesse, they could be kind of positioning themselves to make a move on LJ in the offseason. I mean, they are definitely in rebuilding mode. So trading a high-profile player like LJ, they would get a premier value for him. And not only that, but they would be able to get younger as a team whole. And they use LJ to make their team better all around right at the time before he starts to take his downward turn.
Right.
So a team can trade for him and get a premier featured running back in the NFL and try to make a push toward the Super Bowl. So it makes sense for them, and I think they'll probably do that with Tegon too.
Now, quickly, as we prepare to close the show here, we've got one more matchup, the Monday Nighter. We've got to touch on San Francisco playing against Arizona. The Cardinals, fresh off of Tim Hightower's first start of the season. The guy goes over 100 yards. He gets to play at home against the Niners. I love Hightower here, and Kurt Warner and company just keep on smoking.
Yeah, Kurt Warner's number 2 in the NFL right now on the yardage list. He's doing a great job, making a bid for his second NFL MVP possibility. That's right.
Go K-Dub.
And I know that you're the kind of the Kurt Warner aficionado here. You drink the Warner like wine almost.
Absolutely.
Swish it around and
Absolutely.
smell it. And
I think he's already been a 2-time MVP, to be honest with you.
Well, now wasn't that a 2-time Super Bowl or one?
No, one-time Super Bowl, 2-time league.
So he'd be making a case for his third.
He's a Canton guy now.
And I'll tell you what, he's got great receivers doing it, and I'm starting to wonder, is maybe Anquan Bolden a little better than Fitzgerald?
He could potentially be.
You know, he's leading the NFL in touchdowns right now as a receiver. So
and he's missed like 4 games or 3 games.
And that's exactly my point. So he's really, really lightning in a bottle. And if you can get him on your team in any way, I suggest you do it. His value is still maybe a little bit lower with the injury.
Now, Mike Singletary may not drop his pants at halftime again this week like he did a couple weeks ago to motivate his players. Frank Gore, really the only guy you should be looking at from a fantasy perspective here for San Fran, because it's kind of coming apart at the seams for them a little bit.
Yeah, Mike Singletary, dude, needs sexual harassment training, I think.
Yeah, he's out of line, but you're not out of line by joining us here on the show. We're about to wrap it up. It's been a blast having you along for the ride. Week 10, it's going to be a hell of a fun time on Sunday. We want you to jump onto the Fat Chat Testosterone Fantasy Sports as soon as the show is concluded, because if you want to win,
you must tune in
to Testosterone Fantasy Sports.